I've prepped for bodybuilding shows, weddings, vacations, photo shoots, you name it, but pregnancy and postpartum is just a whole different beast of its own, and I truly believe it is the most important prep you'll ever have to do as a woman. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing all the things I've learned and give you guys the blueprints to how I lost over 60 pounds in my postpartum journey over the last year and ultimately feeling like myself. Hi, I'm Jen. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. I am a wife, a mom of a 1-year-old. I'm a former nurse, bodybuilder, and now I co-own an online fitness coaching business with my husband, helping women and moms just like you feel confident, unstoppable, thriving. But ultimately, I'm here today to be your best friend, your girlfriend, that you need in your fitness journey. So if you're ready to thrive and redefine your fitness as a mom and become the CEO of your motherhood, then subscribe and let's get into it. Also, ladies, I know you guys are going to ask about my Muscle Mama sweater. I'm obsessed. If you guys are interested, it is in our website. I'll leave the description of our website down below. So the first lesson I learned was accepting my new reality and also just surrendering to the process. The newborn phase was crazy because you're just overwhelmed with so many things, emotionally, mentally, physically. You just gave birth to your baby. It's the part of motherhood that every woman goes through, and you're also discovering and trying to find this newer version of yourself. I can understand when people say they lose themselves in motherhood and in pregnancy because you're literally just trying to learn how to become a mom and taking care of a baby. So it is a lot. And I remember the first few weeks of motherhood, I felt extremely lonely. Like I felt like so trapped at home, surrounded by four walls. I couldn't walk as well. I was a C-section. We had a C-section delivery. I couldn't walk. And I remember, watching my husband leave, multiple times throughout the day, whether to go to the gym, to work, to meet up with friends. And, even people would come and visit me time and time and again to visit, check on the baby, whatnot, help me out. But when they left, I felt extremely lonely, and it built up a lot of resentment, especially with my husband, because I was like, why is everyone's lives just continuing on and I'm just here? Like I felt stuck, and it was very dark. I remember feeling very dark mentally, emotionally, especially in the evening time or overnight because you're so sleep deprived. But something that my husband told me that really shifted the game for me was that he came home one day, I think after like a stressful day, and he was like, Jen, like how amazing is it that you get to be with your baby, that your only responsibility is to just relax, chill, and just take care of your baby. Like I wish I could spend this much time with him. And he was talking about how he had a stressful day at work, and it really just put things into perspective that I was being distracted. I was focusing on things outside of me rather than being hyper focused on the now and being present with my baby and just embracing it. And after that mindset shift, I really let things go because I was fighting about being tired. I was fighting about that I couldn't just leave without my baby. I was fighting about, a fit body, and then now I'm just recovering from postpartum and I can't even walk, right? Once I really just accepted that this was the reality of my circumstance or the season that I'm in, then it just allowed me to really move forward, and things just seemed easier, if that made sense. Like I was not complaining about being tired all the time. I just accepted that I was going to be tired because that is just the reality of being a mom, And so that really shifted the game for me. And we also need to give ourselves a lot of grace as moms that we just went through pregnancy and also delivery. Giving yourself the permission to slow down, reflect, and just truly be present with your baby is one of the best gifts you could possibly have, instead of having to look elsewhere, be distracted, scrolling on social media, and just building up resentment with your husband or your partner. The second lesson I learned was having a game plan. So 6 to 8 weeks out before my due date, Sean and I sat in my kitchen right here and we came up with a game plan, essentially having a clear expectation of what my postpartum fitness was going to look like when I gave birth. And so this was really beneficial for me at the time. I remember I was in my third trimester. I wasn't going to the gym anymore. My legs were swollen. I was exhausted all the time. I remember just wanting to do one chore would take me like the whole day. So it really allowed me to really kind of get excited about my postpartum journey, and then also not be so hyper focused and complain about where I was at in that season, because I knew that season was only temporary. And so having a game plan postpartum is is very important. Now, some of you may already been experienced this or have experienced this before, but if you've never been a mom or never experienced postpartum before, you don't know what your schedule, your timeline is going to be, but having a plan is going to help you create a guideline or at least somewhat of an expectation that you should be able to at least pivot and like be fluid in if it doesn't work out. Luckily for us, because we have an online fitness coaching business where we do help moms, we did already have a game plan set in place that was realistic for moms postpartum. And so things like how often you were going to be training during the week, when you were going to be training, what your macros were going to be, what kind of foods you were going to have, and things like that. Supplementation to help support you if you are sleep deprived. Having that game plan in place really got me excited, and it allowed me to feel really confident going into the postpartum. Now, as a mom, it is crucial to have at least somewhat of a schedule. You should know, especially as a mom, you wear so many hats in a day and you're making so many decisions in a day. So having a clear game plan, just it takes a little bit of that brain fatigue or that decision fatigue at ease so that you could just follow and execute. And like I said, one of the most important things is just allow yourself to be fluid. Allow yourself to pivot and make adjustments as needed if the plan does not work. Which leads me to the third lesson, which is slowing down. And this was so important for me to do, especially as a C-section mama. Like I remember not even being able to walk across the hall, and it was such a harsh reality for me, but it just really allowed me to accept where I was at. And especially the old me that was training 5-6 times a week, who was running and was getting things done and go, go, go. I was really just had to force to slow down, but I also gave myself permission to slow down and just to rest and recover and spend, hours on the couch just cuddling my baby, because that was the expectation. That's what I needed to do at the time. I didn't need to go to the gym in the newborn phase, and focusing on sleep, like that was the expectation, focusing on my nutrition and allowing myself to slow down and just flow and let that happen rather than me wanting to, do all these things in the shortest amount of time possible, because that's just not the reality in motherhood, especially in the newborn phase. So slowing down was key, but it also allowed me to speed my recovery in the most optimal way as well, because I was focusing on resting, on my sleep when I could. I was focusing on my nutrition and making sure that I was getting all my meals in that I needed to recover. I think that was crucial to slowing down, but also speeding up my recovery in the process. The fourth lesson was having a tribe and having a community of people in your corner. And this is extremely hard in motherhood, especially as a new mom, because it's just you and your baby. You're alone with your baby for hours amount of time. So finding your community and just your tribe can be extremely hard, and motherhood can definitely be isolating. Even though we have so much support online, it's still lonely at the same time. And so what I made sure in my postpartum that I was planning for in pregnancy was just making sure, who was going to support me, who was going to be there for me, but how can I communicate with help? Because I know that, especially as a mom, we can experience a lot of mom guilt and feel bad for asking, but I think asking is definitely accepted, especially after you're given birth. So finding your community and your tribe is crucial. And this is also part of the reason why I created this video, was because you guys can, always come here and not feel alone, because there are so many things that we struggle with as mom that aren't talked about, and we think that we're the only moms that think that way, when in reality, like, there's so many thousands of moms, so many people out there that have probably experiencing the same thing too. Another thing that was really beneficial for us was that both our moms were here, and they were coming in and out. They were helping with laundry, they're helping with the dishes, they were holding the baby while I took a shower. And it's so important to have this, especially when as women we've been kind of conditioned that we can do it all, and we can do it all. We just can't do everything at once. And so having people in your corner, whether it's your spouse, a best friend, your parents, things like that can help you along the way, make a huge difference. And I think that's what allowed my postpartum to be so positive, where I was able to also focus on myself in the little bits that I could, especially in the newborn phase. But I think it was crucial. And I think, I know that a lot of women out there don't have the same amount of support as I do or others, and some people even have more support than me. But if you can reach out, I recommend just reaching out to people. There's so many Facebook communities and Instagrams, YouTubers like this where you can connect and reach out to, and I think that's really important, especially in motherhood, to find other people who are going through it as well. So the fourth lesson is my nutrition and batch prepping them. That was honestly the game changer, especially early postpartum. I did this starting in the third trimester. I did what I could, but I batch prepped a lot of my meals ahead of time so that when it came down to the newborn phase, I was able to just take it out from the freezer and just warm it up. It was literally amazing. I had things ready to go. And another thing that really helped me was we have a local butcher that had pre-made high protein, well portioned out meals that we just bought a ton of, that I was able to just like whip out again, just toss it in the microwave or just like in the oven and warm it up, and I was good to go. And it saved me so much time. And so it was really beneficial, especially the early newborn phase where I wasn't really cooking much. I just had all these batch prepped meals and protein sources that I could have that I was able to whip out. Another thing that was really important that helped with my recovery was just prioritizing protein intake. So ensuring you're having adequate amounts of protein for healing and also recovery, and then also drinking a lot of bone broth and soup. So having warmer foods and meals can actually help with recovery as well. So those are the two things that really help. They're also really nutrient dense as well too. So having that in as well, and then having also proper supplementation like a postnatal or just continuing your prenatal was also really beneficial for me. But having that really changed the game. But another honestly bonus tip that we still do to this day, and even in pregnancy, we started actually this in pregnancy, was just outsourcing our grocery delivery, guys. There was one thing that came out of COVID that was a game changer, and that was the birth of just like online delivery and on-demand delivery. So we use an app called Instacart where we pretty much grocery shop everything that we need all on that app. So Costco, Longo's, Walmart, all your grocery stores are on that app. This is not sponsored. We've just been using it for the past couple of years. But something I learned in business, if you value your time, which especially as moms, we value our time because you don't get a lot of it. Outsourcing our grocery shop allowed me to save time when it came to meal prep, and just allowed me to spend that time on other things like being with my baby or just like working on my business or other things that I wanted to do. So outsourcing is key. So try Instacart if you haven't tried it, or any online delivery service. There's a tons of them on there, but I found that Instacart was the best one because it had all the other stores in one app. So that's all, ladies. If you guys like this video, please let me know in the comments and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any lessons that you've learned in your postpartum or pregnancy journey right now, let me know in the comments. I would love to know. Please share. And if you guys are interested in my Muscle Mama sweaters, I'll leave a link of my website down below. And if you guys are interested in our 101 fitness coaching program and interested in us helping you in your postpartum journey or your fitness journey in general, I'll leave a link on the description as well, and we'll catch you in the next one.